Hi, everyone. All right, fantastic. I'm so excited to be here today with our bunch of trailblazers from the UAE. So proud of everyone present here. My name is Sachin Bharti. Most of you might know me. These are COVID times. We don't get to meet in person, so many of you may also not know me. My name is Sachin Bharti. I'm the co-founder and CEO of the Knowledge Planet Group. Uh, and we are doing this first in the history of KP, a Zoom session with the toppers. We try to do these sessions with the students in person, but given the special circumstances, we are doing this Zoom session, and it's a good thing because all of you are getting to meet all of the toppers. So that's a great thing because you will get to hear from everyone today. Um, I just want to quickly talk about the wonderful results that Team KP has produced this year. So, as you would possibly know, most of you might know this already, but I will still tell you about it, is that this is the first year, guys, that we have produced. So not the first year. So this historically, we have produced the best ever ranks in the history of the JEE Main, JEE Advanced, as well as the NEET examination. So we have the JEE Main all-time topper, we have the JEE Advanced all-time topper, we have the NEET all-time topper. In the history of the exam from the GCC, such results have never been achieved. Plus, we have a girls topper who's the girls topper from the GCC, both in JEE Main as well as in JEE Advanced. We also have top rankers in the KEAM exam as well as the KVPY exam. So there are 5 big exams in India, and for each one of these exams, we have the top rankers or the topmost rankers. So it's just phenomenal. Not only that, uh, we have the highest number of selections in JEE Main, JEE Advanced, and the NEET exam as well. Rather, in JEE Advanced, more than 90% of selections from the UAE are from Knowledge Planet. So the results have been phenomenal year after year. You all have been doing us proud. And we hope that the students who are listening in today, who are a part of the participants today who are listening in, you continue to do this. You continue to carry the baton forward and to continue to do us proud in the years to come as well, right? So that's wonderful. I want to quickly reflect on uh, the results that these students have produced. Before I do that, I want to introduce our panelists to you guys today. While we are introducing 6 panelists to you today who are top achievers, I also want to mention the fact there are plenty of KPIs who've achieved phenomenal results this year. They're not a part of the discussion today because we had to limit the number of speakers in order to have a meaningful discussion. But there's plenty of KPIs who are the unsung heroes today who should be a part of this session. So let me introduce you to the students, to the top performers who are going to be inspiring all of us today. First is Ashwin. Ashwin has created history this year by being the first student to have ever achieved 100 percentile, not once, not twice, but 3 times. Ashwin is the overall JEE main topper in the region, and his result of producing 100 percentile in maths is going to resonate with a lot of students, because a lot of us have questions today on how do you do well in maths, how can you do well in maths, and he's been 100 percentiler in maths. So lots of things to learn from him. Siddharth has created history by becoming the highest ever rank ever produced in the history of the JEE Advanced IIT JEE entrance exam from the GCC region. So much to learn from Siddharth as well. Siddharth also achieved 100 percentile in the final format of the exam, and he just turned the tables around by suddenly emerging as the overall JEE Advanced topper, and lots to learn from him as well on resilience and everything. Arsalan is the overall NEET topper from the UAE. Best ever rank in the history of the NEET examination is what Arsalan has achieved from the UAE. So, I mean, I'm amazed as to how many best ever ranks our students have produced this year. So Arsalan is the NEET topper, and I'm sure he will have a lot to talk to you guys about who are preparing for NEET, especially how much important it is to focus on physics and chemistry also, and not just spend all your time preparing for biology if you want to crack the NEET exam. Then we have Matangi. So Matangi has had a phenomenal achievement. She's the overall girls topper from the UAE. She's the outside India topper as well in the JEE main exam as well as the JEE advanced exam. Overall girls topper. So we are very, very proud of Matangi and her achievements. And she will be here to inspire you all today. I see a lot of our girl students here in the panel as well. So we have to be inspired. There's special quota for girls in IITs these days. So all girl students must put in even extra effort, given that the government has made it slightly easier for girl students to make it into IITs, right? And then we have Sai Avnish, who is KVPY top ranker from the UAE. Not only is he a KVPY top ranker, he has also cracked the JEE Advanced with a very high rank as well. And they will, of course, be talking about which IITs and other institutions they've already got admissions into. So the IIT admissions have already happened, and all of our IIT rankers have admissions. So Sai Avnish is going to IIT Bombay, but I'll leave it to him to talk about where he's finally going and what branch he's choosing. And then we have our very own, very dear Anuradha Nair with us, who is a KEAM top ranker. She's created history this year by being a single-digit All India ranker. Single-digit All India rank. KEAM, as you guys might know, and you must know if you are here in this session, is KEAM is the Kerala entrance exam. It's the most important exam for students who are looking to study, who are from Kerala, who are looking to study in Kerala. So it's a very critical exam, and she has achieved an All India rank 9, and that's just phenomenal. That sort of a rank. Um, so we have a wonderful bunch of speakers today who are here to motivate us and who are here to talk about their tips and strategies for success. But quickly, I also want to reflect on how special their achievements are, guys. One is, of course, they have done wonderfully well by achieving the ranks that they have achieved, and that's a phenomenal achievement which needs to be celebrated. But what has to be celebrated even more than that is that these students are COVID champions. You know, you all know what has happened in the last few months. Exams got delayed, physical classes got suspended. Most of us found it so hard to keep ourselves motivated and to keep preparing for examinations when all of this chaos was going on. And what we have seen is students took either of the two ways. There were two options possible in front of them. One option was to say, hey, listen, exams are constantly getting delayed. I can't study, I can't focus because I don't know which exam will be held, when it will be held, whether it will be held or not, when will college start. So maybe I should just not prepare. I'll wait for the dates to come out and then I will start preparing. The other option was for students to say, hey, this is a great opportunity for me. This comes as a blessing in disguise for me because I get more time to prepare for these entrance exams. And that is the path that these COVID champions have taken, and many other students of Knowledge Planet as well who have taken that path, wherein they've decided to actually continue to prepare for these examinations, even what happened during COVID. So they kept their motivation levels high. And that is really, really special because that one thing talks about the mental resilience, motivation, dedication, and discipline these students have exhibited during such tough times. So any student who can exhibit that sort of a personality and those sort of behaviors and mental makeup, there's nothing that can stop them from achieving the greatest successes that life has to offer. So this is a very, very special achievement. Congratulations to you all. Big round of congratulations to everyone. Yeah, right. I also want to congratulate Team KP here. All the team of our counselors, our team members, our teachers who have gone out of the way, pushing themselves to make sure that no student is left behind at KP. When you guys joined us, or when you guys typically join us, we make a promise that, we only stop once you guys get into a good college. So we try really, really hard to make sure that students are preparing well and they are trying to, and they're maximizing their potential. When COVID started, all the classes got suspended everywhere. Most institutes in the UAE and elsewhere, they stopped running classes. They stopped even offering online classes. We at KP remembered that we had made a promise and we are not going to abandon our students in any way whatsoever. Throughout this period, when COVID was going on and exams were getting delayed, we kept on offering our classes, our sessions to our students. Even more so, we actually increased the duration and the frequency of these classes to make sure that students are getting prepared, and nobody paid any extra fees or any extra pennies or anything for that matter to get this extra training, because we believed it was our responsibility and we wanted to make sure that we keep our promise. So all those teachers, all our team members, everybody involved in the whole process of training these students and getting these wonderful results, a huge round of congratulations to everyone, and you've got something to massive to pat yourselves on your back on. Great. So that's about it. I also have today joining Shrey sir. All the co-hosts know Shrey sir very well. He's been coordinating with you all, and he's been a very strong support system for everyone here. I also have Monica ma'am here, who's a co-host today. She's the chief mentor of Knowledge Planet, and she's been integral part of Team KP throughout, and she's been a part of the decision-making process throughout this period about the classes that were offered and the teachers to be deployed, everything. So she's been a part of the whole journey, and you're going to get to see her in the felicitation ceremony coming up on Monday, but at the same time, so she's going to be here as well. Brilliant. So with all this, let's get the session started. It's time for the students to speak, right? Great. All right. So I'll give you some questions. You're toppers. You need some questions in order to answer them, right? So we'll begin with asking you some questions, which comes really fast to you guys. Yeah. Most important question: what is your success mantra? If you could, guys, if you could pick up one thing which defined your success, what would that be? Most important tip. Who wants to speak first? Siddharth?
Yeah, sir. Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. So, for me, my success mantra, basically for me, I just wanted to get into an IIT. So I knew that if I wanted to get into an IIT, I have to study well and I have to crack the JEE Advanced with a good rank. So that itself, that was just the motivation for studying. Like, I didn't need anything else. Like,
so setting the goal was very important to you.
Yeah,
and
the goal. Like, I just saw myself in IIT and then saw that will be so nice, and that motivated me, and like that was my success mantra.
Brilliant. So guys, the key here is set a goal and then chase that goal with all your energy, all your motivation, all your desire, and soon you'll be there like Siddharth. Brilliant. Thank you, Siddharth. Arslan, Ashwin, can you all go one by one, please?
Yes, sir. So my answer is very similar to Siddharth. Even I knew that I wanted to get into an IIT. I knew I wanted to study computer science. So that goal was set. So that was it.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. Arslan?
Yes, sir. So my success mantra was basically not being demotivated or not giving up, because like my preparation journey started in a really bad place. Like my marks and mock tests were really bad, and there were many others who were preparing much better than me, and I wasted a lot of my 11th grade not doing much. So yeah, just starting from like a really low point and getting to a high point. So that required not being demotivated. So that's it. Yeah.
That is super inspiring, Arslan, because for all of us listening here today, it's so easy to get demotivated. It's so easy. You're not getting the best marks. You're not there, and there are other students ahead of you, and you feel you're doing but not doing enough and not getting there. It's very easy to give up and say, listen, I just can't do this. I'm not going to get there. Imagine Arslan was there in the same place, and instead of getting demotivated, he just kept pushing harder, and he just kept pausing all the opportunities that he got to prepare himself better. And look at what he's done. I mean, from being from not being at the top of the class, from not doing very well, from not being very confident, he's now gone on to become the NEET all-time GCC topper. So turnarounds are possible. Instead of losing hope, instead of losing motivation, just keep working hard towards your goals and just leave everything else to God, to destiny. Yeah, great. Thank you. Matangi, Sai.
So I would say the most important thing is to be focused on just one goal. So for example, I was only preparing for JEE. I was not preparing for NEET. I did not aim to get into foreign universities, or I was not doing extracurricular activities, co-curricular activities. So when you have just one goal, it's much easier to focus and you're more likely to win.
Very good, very important, right? Now, this is a discussion that I have with students, Matangi, so many times, wherein a lot of students say, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. I also want foreign admissions. I also want this, but I'm also in my school committee of this. So my discussion with them is, all of that is great until class 10, let's say, but 11 and 12 is when you have to focus. You do not have that choice, because if you try to do everything in 11 and 12, it gets slightly more difficult to actually achieve greatness at anything. I'm a huge believer in doing extracurricular activities, developing your personality, etc. But for 1 or 2 years, you just have to give it a pause. You just have to give it a break. You don't have to stop it, but just tone it down, because you want to focus on other things which are important during that time. And then you go back and start doing those things as soon as you achieve your goal. So that's a very important point Matangi has made here. The more you can be focused on 1 or 2 exams that you want to target, it will really help you, instead of spreading yourself too thin and being all over the place and not achieving something great in anything. Great, good point. Thanks. Sai.
Hi, so I think patience is key. You really need to trust the process because it's not easy. It's not easy to do well in JEE Advanced. There are a lot of times when things don't go your way. So if you're patient enough and do not trust the results, trust the process. I think that's what I would like to say.
Yes, patience is very important. Don't get impatient. Don't give up. Don't give up too soon, etc. Right? Just stay in the game. Just keep doing what you're doing best. Good. I can't see Anuradha here.
So I'm here.
Is she still in the?
Are you able to see?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So for me, the basic motivation was conceptual understanding, because this is something that is key to any entrance exam you write. It doesn't matter whatever the exam, if your concept is clear, that's the first key to cracking your exam. After that, make a goal as to what exam you really want in your life, and prepare for that with past year questions or specific. Each exam has a specific way to prepare. So the basic for everything is your conceptual understanding. That was a motivation for me to attend classes all the time. Another important thing is that in your classes, your teachers will teach you very well. What you should do as a student is make good notes and revise those notes before you attend every class. Because what you learn in class is something that you're not going to learn on. It's sometimes hard to learn on your own. When you attend class, there are certain things that you don't think this way. But when you listen to your friends asking certain questions, you see new perspectives of just the same concept, the same basic concept. That's why it's important that you not only just study yourself, attend classes, ask doubts in classes, discuss with your friends. This was something that's most important. I remember sitting up at night, sometimes discussing questions with Matangi and getting confused over things, but this is something that you remember that question forever. So this is most important while you're preparing for any entrance exam. Thank you.
Wonderful. So many wonderful mantras there, right? Right from making notes to attending classes to making a good quality study group with whom you actually study and not just play, right? So that is very important that you had Matangi with you and you were discussing good quality questions, and conceptual clarity is so important, right? So many of us set a goal that I have to do, let's say 20 questions or 30 questions or 40 questions. And the way we are doing those questions, we're solving those questions is by actually just looking at the solutions, etc. We're not struggling with those questions. That's not going to help much. What's going to happen is, what's going to really, really help you is, first of all, getting conceptual clarity. in what you want to study, and making sure that you understand the concept very, very well before you start jumping into questions. And one of the best ways of getting conceptual clarity is by actually solving these questions by yourself, by struggling with these questions and not trying to just look at the solutions and thinking by looking at solution, I'm going to understand, get conceptual clarity. So all these points are so relevant. Thank you, Anuradha. Brilliant. I'll move on to my next question, which is very relevant. How did you guys motivate yourselves to study during COVID, during the lockdowns, during the exam with no deadlines, no declared dates? There was so much uncertainty. It was so difficult to keep yourself motivated during that time. Anyone who wants to answer, you can unmute yourself.
Yeah, so like I said, one of my motivations was like achieving my dream of getting into IIT, specifically IIT Bombay. So that was like, you can see that was 50% of my motivation, just like imagining I'm in IIT Bombay, like the best institute in India. So other than that, like even parents and your siblings, if you have, they too have helped motivate me. Like there were days when I didn't feel like studying. I got fed up, especially after the postponing. So, so yeah, they helped motivate me a lot. Like they were a big factor.
Great.
Then yeah, like you have to do few extra stuff you do. Like when you're bored, you watch YouTube, but limited. Don't watch too much, just so that you don't get fed up of studying too much. So that itself, when you have the right balance, that itself gives a motivation. Like now when you're studying, you'll be motivated. Okay, like after I finish this, maybe I'll take a 5-minute break. So that can also act like a motivation for you. Like that was one of my motivations. Might not work for all, but it worked for me.
That's a very, very valid tip. Thank you, Siddharth. Who else wants to talk about this? How did you keep yourselves motivated? This is so important for everyone.
I think control is very important. If you have self-control, I think you can get past tough times pretty easily. Like Siddharth said, like if I want to watch YouTube for 5 minutes, I need to do something so that I can allow myself to watch it for 5 minutes. It's like a reward process. I think if you have that kind of mindset, it's easy to get through those times.
Well, easy for you guys, but for many of us, the problem is that we start YouTube thinking I'll only play YouTube for 5 minutes as a break. But what happens is YouTube plays for 50 minutes and then my studies become a break and YouTube becomes the main session. So yes, that control is the word which is very critical here. Self-control. Right, good. Anyone else wants to take this? Matangi, you want to take this?
My main motivation was talking to friends and clearing doubts. So when they used to clear my doubts, I used to feel inferior that they know more than me. And that fear was one of the major motivation factors for me. And also, if you have that fire and desire within you that you want to achieve something in life, do something, then that is an automatic motivator.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you. Anyone else wants to add a point, and I'll move on to the next question. Okay, I'll move on to the next one. For many of us who are in grade 11th or who are entering grade 11th or who will be entering soon, we have this feeling, and I've seen this very common among students, that we say, you know what, 10th was boards, 12th is going to be boards, 11th I will chill. I will relax a little bit, right? Because this is not my board class. What is your advice to such students? Is that the right way to think about this?
I think that 11th is the most important part of your life compared to 12th and compared to 10th. 11th is way harder. 11th is super stressed out as well. So I think you should focus on your 11th. I think as far as I know, not many people do that. No, not many people have this set goal in mind in 11th to perform, to study at like like put up the right kind of like to have enough motivation to study at that point. But like if you do so, I think success is guaranteed.
Such a valid point, right? I mean, 11th is so much more important, guys, because 11th is the class which also is almost 7-8 times tougher as compared to 10th grade. So if you lose focus in 11th, if you do not work hard during grade 11th, it's very hard to then catch up and then get used to the increasing levels of difficulty as time goes by. So 11th is so critical. And if any one of us starts thinking on these lines that, oh, 11th is going to be, let me take it easy in 11th, it's going to be very hard to pick up later if you do take 11th easy. Anyone else wants to add to this? Anuradha, you're nodding.
I would also like to say that I don't think any of us should stress so much on the board exams. That itself would allow us to study better in all grades, irrespective of whether we have a board exam or not. Think of us in grade 12, we never had a board exam. We didn't even know if we would have a board exam, and we didn't, but we never bothered about the board exam because ultimately we know that it doesn't matter. If you want to get into a top institute in India, you have to cross your entrance exams. And automatically, when you prepare for JEE, when you prepare for NEET, whatever you prepare for, automatically you are being prepared for your boards. Your teachers will tell you when you're studying itself what's important for boards. All you have to do is just make a note of it. So when you revise your notes, you'll know, okay, this is something that's important for boards. So you're sure that this is one of the questions you can expect. There's no separate preparation for boards. None of us here prepared for boards. Still, all of us did very well in boards. Even I topped my school in IHS for boards. I never prepared for boards. No, none of us prepare for boards. You focus on your entrance because you know that's the most important thing that makes your life. That's all I would like to say.
What a wonderful point. First of all, congratulations, Anuradha, for topping IHS in your boards as well. That's wonderful. Secondly, you've said something so controversial. People don't like these kind of statements. Knowledge Planet students, when they hear about this, they're going to be like, oh, no, 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 no. I'm only supposed to be preparing for boards. Entrance exam is on the sidelines. That's a nice thing to have. So this is something really, really controversial. I was going to pick up this question later, but now let me throw it up open to you, all of you guys. Boards versus entrance exams. Can you throw some light on this so everybody can be a little bit more educated about how important are entrance exams as compared to boards, and why boards, does board really require special preparation, or it just happens if you're anyways preparing for entrances? Very important topic for discussion today. Thank you, Anuradha, for bringing that up.
So if you're preparing for entrance, then the truth is that the syllabus for both JEE, NEET or boards is the same. The only difference is the difficulty and the way they ask the question. In fact, this year they made boards into MCQ, so it's basically just like an entrance exam, just that it's easier now. So you don't need to do any special preparation, except maybe in English and your fifth subject, which you can do in maybe 1 or 2 weeks itself. It's not a big deal. You don't really need to take your board seriously like your teachers tell you to. That's it.
Right. Very important. Yes.
I think there's an extra pressure from schools. Schools have this uncanny ability to put lots of pressure on you as far as boards are concerned. But what I would like to tell you is you can dodge those bullets. I'm telling you, once you dodge those bullets and actually perform an entrance exams, it completely, like, even if you've not done so well at boards, I don't think nobody's going to ask you that at the end of time. So and also one thing that everyone should remember is that no major Indian university asks for boards. No major Indian university, not IITs, not NITs, not triple ITs, not BITS, no one. Everyone has, even VIT and SRM have their own entrance exams nowadays. So I mean, like, it's like they are saying that they do not want you to concentrate on boards.
So how do you dodge those bullets?
I don't know. For us, it was easy, I guess, because we are completely online year. But like, it's gonna be hard for you guys. But I think you should continue to try your level best to not fall into those traps.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very, very valid point. Very important. We have to find a way to dodge those bullets. And look, for you guys, it was online, but for previous batches of KPIs who've done well, we talk about the same thing as to why not place too much pressure on themselves for board preparation, because board exams are going to come naturally to them. Because at KP, we have seen this happen year to year. Every year it happens. Students who are preparing for entrance exams automatically get good marks in board exams. And that is something that scares students in grades 11th and 12th at times, that how is that possible when I'm not preparing for board? But that's exactly what happens. And like Ashwin mentioned, that so many questions in board exams are now MCQs, which also is an indication that board exams are also becoming a little bit more like entrance exams. So as long as you're preparing for entrances, you don't have to worry about boards. We will take care of boards. Don't worry. You're in good hands. Anyone else wants to add on to that?
Well, I'd say that even for subjective exams, a couple of days before your major school exams, like board exams or case exams, just flip through the textbook and read through it. You just have to know how to articulate what you already know, and that would be more than sufficient. And you can just tell your teachers and parents that JEE is or NEET is more important, and they will definitely understand. So there's no reason for you to take that unnecessary pressure.
Good. So important. So important. Have open conversation with your teachers and tell them that this is their bigger goals you're working towards, etc. The problem that we face with students, many students, is that most of us tend to spend 80% of their time preparing for school and board exams and 20% of their time preparing for entrance exams, whereas this needs to be exactly the other way around, isn't it? Right. Right. Okay. Great. So anyone else wants to add something to this? Otherwise, I'll move on.
So I think I can tell a way like to like in 11th, if you like in 11th, I would suggest just a bit more you focus on school, just a bit more, so that the teachers know that you're a good student, like you're diligent, you're hardworking. So that then now in 12th, when you need to actually like skip classes when there's a lot of work piling up related to entrance exam, they won't mind even if you like 1-2 days if you skip school, then they know that okay, he is working hard, he is studying. It's not like he's going and bunking and playing somewhere. He is actually studying, so they won't mind that much if they know that you're already a good student. So in 11th, if you focus a bit more, like little bit more, you give focus on school, and you get good marks and you get a name with your teachers, then I don't think they will mind that much in 12th. Like they won't pressure you that much.
That's a good point. It's a good point. Thank you, Siddharth. Good. That's also a life skill tip that we teach to students at times if they come and talk to me, that my parents are not listening to me, they don't agree with me. And this is something I tell them. You have to build good equity with your parents. Just like you said, you have to build good equity and good reputation with your teachers. You know, if you do good things, your parents will start trusting you more and they will start listening to you more. But if you keep messing things up, they're not going to let you do things because they think they can take better decisions than you can. You have to build up that trust, and then you'll be given more freedom as well, right? Good. All right. Very important thing. One thing we've noticed with the students at KP quite often, and everyone else who comes into grade 11, the first 6 months of grade 11th are fairly intense. We all face tremendous pressure in the first 6 months, and a lot of us tend to give up in the first 6 months of 11th. That boss, this is not for me. I have noticed a small percentage of students also giving up science totally and saying, boss, this is not for me, etc. So do you have any advice for these students? How to cope up with the massive jump in syllabus from grade 10th to grade 11th? Arslan?
So yeah, I've really been badly affected by this jump from 10th to 11th. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. Like the jump from 10th to 11th, like first few months, like you'll struggle to understand some concepts because the syllabus is quite vast in 11th. But yeah, it's important not to take it like too seriously, not to get under too much pressure, and just like keep going. Eventually, you'll get used to like the increased syllabus.
Right. Cool. Thank you. Anyone else? How do you cope up with the first? Yeah.
I think one of the major reasons why students face this trouble is because of the lethargy and the complacency that follows the 10th grade board exams. They think they've achieved the most difficult thing in the world and nothing else is, going to be in their path. But that's not true. If they're mentally prepared for the stress that will follow, I think they can easily cope up.
Very important. Very important. Do not let that lethargy set in. Start 11th on a cracking note, right? Take a week off after grade 10th, no problem. Take week off, take 10 days off, but then you jump right back into it because 10th is just child stuff. Your real test begins in grade 11, right? That's where your future will get decided. So you have to keep your motivation high. Anyone else?
Yeah, I also want to like add something. This is about stream selection in 10th. Like if anyone is about to change their streams or anything, make sure your fourth subject is very easy. I really think that when you take a difficult fourth subject, like some people go for PCMB, biology is a big subject in itself. So if you take some subjects like, my opinion is if you take some subject like computer science or EG, it'll be easier for you to cope up with the syllabus. And you should actually understand your goal before you stream select, because not understanding and saying I would want to do both JEE and NEET is futile in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a very valid point, and that's a discussion that we have with students quite often. When students say that, listen, you know what, I want to take all the four subjects, and my advice usually to them is that, fine. I mean, it's okay to take all the four subjects, and there are some merits to that as well. But you have to bear in mind that the academic pressure on you is going to be significantly more, and you have to be ready to take on that sort of academic pressure. So if you believe you're hardworking and sincere, by all means, you can take those four subjects. But if you're not, then you might as well make that choice right now, bite the bullet and go for three subjects, the core subjects, instead of four. One reason, and I want to reflect on that quickly, one reason why some students take up all the four subjects stems from the whole DASA quota issue. So as you all know, there is a DASA quota for engineering, but there is no DASA quota for medical. So for medical aspirants, for many of us, it makes sense to have maths as a backup option, because God forbid, if I do not get a medical seat, I always have a DASA quota, which is a slightly easier entry mechanism to at least a decent engineering college. So that's one logic students use. But still, I mean, even to benefit from that, you have to be a hardworking student. Otherwise, you can easily mess it all up, right? Good point.
Sir,
Yes,
but I think like for NEET preparation, I think like you need to take maths as a fourth subject. You don't really need to give it special attention like for school exams or board exams. But I think what maths does is it really sharpens you up for NEET exams, because there's like a lot of numericals in NEET.
Yeah. Sure. I mean, that's a valid point, Arslan, but at the same time, we have to bear in mind that we are ready to put in that extra effort. That is very important, right?
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Good. Okay. How did you guys study during summer and winter vacation? Anuradha, I remember you had an active, proper study schedule, and Anupama, both of you sisters, a wonderful study schedule that you had, etc. So can you talk about this a little bit?
So one good thing is that at 2 months of summer vacation, you will spend at KP, and you will have KP classes. At least we had 5 hours classes almost every day. So you will never get bored in your summer vacation. Don't waste your summer vacation, because that's the most important time. Those 2 months that you get is a time when no one else is studying. But if you study, you make use of your time. That's going to help you the most. Even on your previous question, we were discussing how to cope up on 11th grade for 6 months. See, one good thing is that KP always finishes the portion early, so you have time at the end for revision. We always had our concepts repeated multiple times. So the first time, okay, you may not understand it, but don't worry about that, because again, it will be covered again in KP classes. You have a doubt, the summer vacation is the best time to cover up your doubts, because you have time to take up extra classes. Your teachers will be always ready to have any extra classes, any extra sessions for you. Stay back after classes, ask your doubts. That's also very important. In your summer vacation, you do have a lot more time. You don't have pressure from school for 2 months. So don't focus on anything at school. Just continue revising your notes, solving extra questions. You have a lot of tests at KP during your breaks, especially. So that's most important. Don't skip any test, irrespective of whether you prepared for it or not, because once you're done with the test, you'll revise your questions, you'll revise your concepts, you discuss these questions in class. So these questions you will remember forever. If you revise them well, you discuss this with someone, and you understand this question, because the same thing is going to keep getting repeated. Every test, questions are repeated, concepts are repeated. You have to remember these questions, you have to remember these concepts, and that comes only with practice. So your vacations are your best time because you're free from school. You can't give an excuse of school stress. You're free from school. Your friends are free. You can keep discussing doubts all night. You're totally free in your vacation. Use them wisely. That's all I would say.
I'm smiling. I'm smiling. I can't hide my grin because you know what? Many of us, what we tell our parents is that, you know what? My school just got over. I got a break. Now finally let me enjoy. I don't want to study now because this is vacation time. Right. Look, 11th and 12th is different. And thank you for sharing that because there is so much wisdom in this. Your vacation time is one of your most important times to actually study and to catch up on everything that you may not have covered properly earlier. That's the time when you get ahead of school as well. So we at KP take so many classes during vacation, 5-hour classes almost every weekday, etc., so that you are way ahead of the school. So when you hit school, one, you've covered all your gaps, and two, you're also sort of with the school or ahead of the school in terms of syllabus, so you're not lagging behind, etc. So that summer and winter vacation time is very, very critical for preparation. Anyone else wants to add a quick reflection to this?
The sad truth is that this is not a vacation anymore. It's just a break for you to study more, basically. This you should like Anuradha said, you should utilize this more to get ahead in your syllabus, practice your completed syllabus. If you like you said in the previous question, some people may find the starting of 11th hard. So you can use this time to catch up with the syllabus that you couldn't cover in the beginning because of the difficulties you faced in the beginning. So it's like it's a great time to catch up and advance in your preparation, basically.
So this is not a vacation. This is an opportunity for you to actually cover up and study more. So that's your self-study time. Good. Fantastic. Do you, from the others, did you follow a study plan or a study schedule? And if yes, what would you do when things don't go your way and on a day you made a schedule and it doesn't go your way? Do you discard that study schedule completely and say, this doesn't work for me? Or do you have some other strategies for that?
So honestly speaking, I never followed a schedule. I just did what I felt like doing. There was not, I don't remember one day making a schedule and sticking to it. I might plan a day, but it'll go totally opposite. Like I might think I'll start with maths, but I'll end up doing chemistry. So like for me, a schedule never worked. For me, a timetable never worked because I couldn't keep it up. And also like, I can't for me, like if I solve one maths question, I might immediately go to a physics question and solve. So I'll keep interchanging stuff, and I never followed a schedule. Like, that worked for me. I don't know.
Can I interrupt you there, Siddharth? Can I interrupt you? So my question is more from the perspective of actually setting aside a time to study. So with you, the issue was not that, the issue was whether to study physics, chemistry, or math. For others, the issue is whether to study or not at all. So the point is, did you know what time you're going to study and what time you're not going to study?
Actually, the last few months, I get up, I start studying, and like I just break first for eating and stuff. Like the people ask like how many hours did you study? That those questions are basically like irrelevant. Like you can't count how much you study. If you start counting how much you study, that means that studying time doesn't make sense. Like you should not count how much you're studying. you should just keep studying. And for me, I was basically studying the entire day.
See, that's how you exactly. And that's why I didn't want to send the wrong message where so many students go back home and tell their parents, see, Siddharth did not have a schedule and he's the JEE topper, right? We don't need to have a schedule. So that's where many of us struggle, that we need to set aside time for study. And like you said, you don't need to count your hours. You got to do your stuff. If that's your goal, if that's the thing that you want from the bottom of your heart, you just got to put your 100% towards it, right? Good. Anyone else wants to talk about this?
I think schedule like changes as like depending on the time, like how much time you have to until the exam. Basically, when you're really near to the exam, it's basically eat, sleep, study, repeat. That's how it is. But like when you're farther away from the exam, you do not have, you should have some leisure time. Otherwise, it does not. It's like the studying time is also not productive. So if you do not, you should study. It's not like you can study for 2 hours and then enjoy the rest of the day. You should be studying at least for a minimum of 6 hours. At least in the starting of your preparation, you start with like 5 to 6 hours, and then slowly increase it as like when the exam comes closer, then you should be studying a lot. Most of your time should be in studying.
Cool, cool, good, thank you. Anyone? All right, I'll move on to the next question. Did you write tests regularly, guys? What is the importance of writing tests? I see so many times when teaching, when observing students during classes, a lot of us tend to miss tests at times. And we say, listen, I was not prepared for the test. I was not ready. So I decided to skip it. And or my school is having some exams and the syllabus was different, so I decided to skip it. I see a lot of students at times skip tests. What is your advice? Are tests important or are they just a waste of time?
I would say that you should give every test irrespective of whether you've prepared for it or not, because even on the day before JEE means JEE Advanced, you will not have finished portions. There will still be some chapters that you have left. So it gives you an idea about how much you can score for a test that you're completely unprepared for. And after writing the test, the most important thing is analysis. You should know what mistakes you've made, why you've made those mistakes, and whether they were silly mistakes, conceptual errors, or what. If they're conceptual errors, you should go back and study the chapter again. So tests can give you like a really big exposure as to the different kind of questions, and it can also tell you whether you're able to solve a particular question in the given time or not.
Very valid, very valid. You know, whether you're prepared for an exam or not, and this is one thing we always tell students at KP, it does not matter whether you're prepared for a test or not. I always tell students, it doesn't matter. Especially if you're not prepared for a test, you must appear for that test, because that's the only way you are going to figure out what you really know and what you don't know. That's number one. Two, it'll help you figure out something else. When you do not know the direct formula to solve a question, you are going to apply some indirect thinking, some shortcuts in your brain, and you're going to use some innovative method of coming up with a solution. And that sort of out of the box thinking, is that creative thinking, is going to be very important for you in the exam. Because in the exam also, like Matangi said, it's not that you're going to remember every single formula, every single concept. There will be some questions which will seem like bouncers in the exam as well. And if you've developed this creative thinking way of solving questions, it really helps you, right? And third, of course, it helps you with time management and picking up your speed, etc. Anyone else wants to talk about exams, importance of exams? Anuradha?
Yes, sir. Most important thing I think from the exams is keeping time, because when you solve questions at home, you take your own time to solve the question. You're not under pressure, under that duress that you are when you're in your exam. So I think it's most important to write your exam for keeping time, because in certain exams you can spend only 1 minute per question. Sometimes you want to reduce your time on a particular question so that you have more time on harder questions, because you can't only solve easy questions or medium questions. You want to try solving even the hard questions. For that you need more time. So this time management skill comes only during your exam preparation, because when you're solving questions from your material or your modules, you kind of take your own time because you don't want to see the solution. You want to give it your best first before you see the solution or discuss your doubts. That's fine when you're solving. But when you're attending tests, you have to keep to time. You have to know when you have to leave the question, when you have to skip the question, because that's something that comes only and only if you write your tests. Especially before a month before your JEE exams, I didn't revise much. It was most of doing a test every day and or at least every alternate day, and revising your questions and revising those concepts which came in the test questions, because you can never ever finish your entrance portion. So this is a continuous process. You will never finish it. Even before your exam, you'll feel like I haven't studied anything. It's always like that. So keep giving tests, they improve your confidence level as well. Even though you do badly, the next time those questions are repeated, you should be able to solve them. That's the most important thing from a test. If you're not able to solve them, doesn't matter. Rewrite the test again. There were certain test papers that I used to write again because I could not solve them even for the second time. So that you're ensuring that every question you've done in your test, you're remembering as much as possible.
Such amazing information here, guys. It's not just about solving questions. That you don't write tests to solve questions. You write tests to improve your test taking abilities. You have to remember that. You can solve questions at home, and like Anuradha said, it's not just about solving questions, because you need to time yourself. You need to be seen sitting in that environment of an actual exam and solving questions when the clock is ticking against you. Developing that sort of a mindset and being able to solve questions in that sort of a pressure cooker situation is what boosts your test taking abilities and overall subject knowledge as well in the longer run. So very, very critical information there. Anyone else about tests? This is a much ignored issue by students. So both Arslan and Ashwin want to talk about it. So go one by one, please.
Yes, sir. I'd just like to add that mock tests really help you get acclimatized to the actual test taking situation. Because during like those 3 hours when I actually gave the NEET test, I didn't really feel anything. Like obviously I concentrated, but those like 3 hours just passed away, and I never had like a nervous breakdown, or I never really got stuck. And that was because I gave a lot of mock tests and I was used to the situation. I knew what to do where. So yeah, it really helps you get acclimatized.
Very important.
So another thing you should develop through tests is to find a sequence of attempting the paper. For example, the actual paper will be the order PCM, but maybe, but that may not be the best way to attempt it. Some people go with the CPM, that sequence. Some people go with CMP, that sequence, because normally people tend to finish chemistry faster than the other two subjects. So people tend to start with chemistry, so they get a confidence boost. So, or maybe you could follow a completely random sequence also, maybe do half of physics, then move on to chemistry, then half of maths, something like that. So you have to come up with a sequence through giving many tests. For example, what I did was I would do physics questions in the sequence, and then when I get stuck, I will directly move to chemistry, and I'll try to do chemistry in as much in 30 minutes as possible. Then I'll move to maths, then I'll finish maths, then come back to chemistry, then physics. Like that, I follow the same order for my advanced exam also, and it helped a lot in time management, and I've gotten in by going in the normal sequence.
Absolutely. That's all this is super critical, right, guys? Like getting acclimatized with the test, knowing the order, how you're going to prepare, how you're going to be able to solve, keeping your cool. All of that happens as a part of your test taking abilities. And that is one prime reason you write a lot of tests, so that you don't break a sweat when you're actually writing the real exam, because you've done that so many times before. It becomes like second nature to you guys. And that is one common thing I have seen across all the top students that we mentored over the years. I see all the toppers always being very sincere with writing tests. Very important part of overall preparation. So please do not ignore tests, all of you. Right. Very important question coming up, which I want everyone to answer. Yeah. Private tuitions or KP? What do students need in high school, and if you can throw some light on a serious note as to how the whole what is the difference between the two, and how did the KP system help you during this period, and what should students keep in mind?
So of course KP is much better, because when you take private tuitions for each, like now when you take private tuition, you'll have to take private tuition for chemistry one, then for physics, then for maths, and what are other subjects you want. So when you take like this three different private tuitions, and then like most of the time private tuitions, they don't have like proper test structures and stuff like that. Like they won't have proper question banks to solve, they won't have proper tests. They will just like they just teach like how they teach like how they teach, they just keep teaching the theory again and again. Like if you want proper test and question banks of practice, it's always better to join coaching institute like KP, because when like KP especially, they give a lot of question banks. The KP module, those MCQ books, then you give those modules, advanced modules, and all. They give a lot of question banks, which in private coaching institutes you won't get. Plus test series, when you do it in a big institute like KP, you can compare, like, you know where you stand. But in like if you take a private coaching, it might just be 3-4 students. So what's the point of comparing between 3-4 students? If you keep topping and you'll be like, I'm the topper among these four, but that doesn't matter. In the end, you have to compete with everyone. And KP has such a big network of students, so you know where you stand. So
Right.
that gives you confidence. And if at all even then you are less, then you know, okay, I have to improve, so you can do what you need to do.
Right. And that platform is very important, because you want to be competing against the best students of IHS, RON, DPS, TMS, ADIS, Bright Riders, all of these schools. Across the board, you want to test yourself against the best and the brightest, and not just be, a proverbial fish in the pond where you just don't know what's going on around you. So more importantly, all the preparation, all the extra questions that you do as a part of entrance preparation is very critical. Arslan, this is a question which is going to everyone.
Yeah, sir. So the most important thing for me when I was deciding whether to go private tuition or like an institution was like how much experience do they have in training students. And I looked at KP and I looked at their past results, and they had a lot of experience in producing JEE toppers, NEET toppers. So I felt like I was in safer hands by going for KP.
Great. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Ashwin?
Obviously KP is the better choice. Like Siddharth said, like most of my points are covered by Siddharth. And then something else is that you're going to 3 different teachers, so like extra travel, you have to travel much more to 3 different places, maybe in different parts of UAE. And then another thing is that I don't think there are many private tuitions oriented towards entrance coaching. It's more for maybe school exams or boards. So all in all, I think KP itself is the best option you have.
Thank you. Sai?
Actually, I'm not sure if there are private tuitions for JEE or NEET in particular. I haven't seen that in the UAE. So if you're thinking boards oriented, then maybe it's a choice, but then institutes are the way to go. You cannot be doing JEE in private.
Right. Good point. Yes, of course. I mean, there's no private tuition that really prepares you for entrance examination. So if getting into a good college is your prime focus, then yes, you have to be looking at. And the point is that at KP, we anyways prepare for school and board examinations as well. So it's not that is not covered, and that is shown in the results as well. All the students of KP get phenomenal marks in their board exams eventually. So that's not even a consideration, and one doesn't need to worry about that stuff. Matangi?
Well, I would say definitely opt for an institute like KP, because KP has a very organized structure of tests, modules, etc. And they will completely guide you towards your JEE prep or NEET prep, and also towards your board exams. And if you just follow what your teachers from KP tell you, I'm 100% sure that you can ace your exams.
Thank you. And Radha?
Yes, sir. I mean, I never had any doubt when I was choosing. I never chose anything else. And I don't think any of you should think about it. Because if you're focused for your entrance, KP is the best place. And there are several reasons for this. Most importantly, your teachers. Teachers at KP have been very sincere throughout the 3 years that I have been here, and they have been teaching for a long time, not just for the last 1 or 2 years. They have been teaching for a very long time. They know the pattern of the question papers for the exams. They know what's important, what's not. They keep up to date with the changing pattern, with the changing portions, the changing deadlines, everything. So your teachers itself do half the work for you at KP. So it makes life much easier for you if you're at an institute like KP. So for me, the greatest thing was to have such sincere teachers that I had at KP. Another thing is, when I used to ask doubts to my teachers at school, there's a point of time when even they don't know the answer anymore. So these kind of questions you can only discuss with people who have in-depth understanding of the subject. With your friends at KP, sometimes that itself was enough to clear my doubts. If not your friends at KP, then go ask your teachers at KP. They have much deeper understanding of the subject. This is not something that a private tutor or someone at school can answer, because the portion you have at entrance is way beyond your CBSE portion, and the amount that you have to think is much more in your entrance. Another thing, and another very, very important thing is your student, your batches, your students in your batch. That was something that was very important for me. Alone, there is a certain capacity that you can achieve. But when you discuss your doubts with your friends, when you listen to the questions that your friends ask in class, sometimes there are times when even the teacher is still thinking about questions that some of the students here ask. So that's something very important, to have a good batch of students. We all were part of the booster batch in KP, and that really literally boosts your preparation. So as much as you can, prepare for the booster exams that KP will have. Join the booster batches. It keeps You will have really good company in your batch. This is something that you don't have in school sometimes. You feel more motivated because everyone around you is motivated. Everyone around you is working hard. So you're not the only one. That itself pushes you up a lot. So this is something, two important points: your teachers as well as your student company. It's both ways, not just you alone. Another, of course, important thing is that materials. KP provides you with infinite materials. Sometimes you can't finish it still. You have tests. Where you can compare with everyone in KP, because there's so many people in KP. You have more competition. It's not like school or private tuitions where I think Siddharth already covered this point. There are just 4 or 5 people in your class. You have so much more competition here. And another important thing, KP is just one place where you can train for literally all exams all across the world. You don't have to go to separate places for separate exams, separate for boards, separate for entrance. As I told you, during your lecture itself, your teacher will tell you what's important for boards, what's important for JEE, what's important for NEET. Sometimes teachers used to tell us what's important for SAT as well. So all exams are covered at one place. That makes life much easier for you. So I think that's all I would want to say.
Thank you. Thank you. That really warms our heart, all these points from you all. We take it to our heart that we want to produce the best results and equip our students with the best possible preparation throughout this period. Teachers at KP are really teachers and counselors. Everybody, as you would have experienced, is highly dedicated, and they try their best to go out of the way to support the students. And all the results that KP produces are actually Gulf results. So it's not that KP talks about results back in India and talking about admissions here. KP results are for NRI students, Gulf-based students. So our teachers, everybody has over the years gained tremendous expertise in understanding the nature of students here. What are the challenges they have? What are the motivations they have? What stops them from achieving their best? And how do you develop mechanisms, processes, and systems in place so as to maximize their potential to help them achieve their best? So that's. But thanks to all the teachers and the wonderful team we have at KP that creates all this. Good. I have a question on subjects. How do you choose which subject is your focus subject, or can you afford to ignore some subjects? I'll first ask Arsalan and talk about the thing that I mentioned earlier, that when you talk about NEET, most NEET aspirants tend to spend 90% of their time on bio, and they tend to ignore physics, especially physics, and then ignore chemistry as well. And I'll come to Anuradha for the same answer because she also wrote NEET and got a very good rank. Yes, Arslan.
Yeah, sir. So like those days are gone when you could just focus on bio and like get a good seat in a government medical college. Like now the cutoff in NEET has really been soaring for the past few years. This year I think it was 610 for a good medical college. And so yeah, you can't just focus on bio. It has to be all three subjects. You need to devote time for all the three subjects. And yeah, that's absolutely not a strategy you can use.
Good, thank you. Anuradha?
Yes, sir, definitely. Even though you feel like, okay, bio is 90 questions and physics and chemistry are just 45, bio alone is certainly not enough because you're not going to cross your good score if you're only going to score in bio. And when already at KP, you will have your classes in physics, chemistry, and bio equally. It's not like KP focuses more on bio. So as long as you pay attention in class, it finishes half your work if you pay attention in class for physics, chemistry. Don't think that you'll go home and do it. No, finish as much as you can in class. When you're going home, you're only going to revise what you understood. If there's something that you didn't understand in class, ask those questions. I know even a few of my classmates this year, for them, physics, chemistry was hard because they never focused on it. Don't leave physics and chemistry. Questions in NEET in physics and chemistry are so much easier than JEE. There's nothing really that hard in it. It's just all in your mind. You feel like physics, chemistry is hard. It's nothing. As long as you focus in your class lectures, every single thing that comes in your paper will be from your class notes, from your NCRT textbook, nothing outside that. And bio actually doesn't require as much time. People tend to spend so much time on bio, but bio is something that I feel requires the least amount of time because it's a much simpler subject, and your questions from NEET, 90% of the paper, at least in this year and previous year, came from straight from the NCRT textbook, exactly from the NCRT textbook, word to word. So if you're going to have questions like this, you know how you're supposed to study for bio. KP will tell you whatever is extra. The remaining, focus on your NCRT textbook because you've already done it in class. You will know half of it. You just have to come home and revise, revise, and revise. That's how it is for NEET. You have to remember bio. So you have to spend more time on physics and chemistry. They are harder. That's why people leave them, because they are harder. But because they're harder, you have to spend more time on it. Don't spend as much time on bio because I'll tell you, it's much simpler to study bio. Even 1 year you can cover 11th and 12th portion. It's simple to study bio. If you focus on your NCRT textbook, that solves half your problems.
Yeah, and rather the challenge in life is we like to do things that are easy, not the things that are hard. But that's not how you become winners. That's not how you achieve greatness in life. Greatness in life comes from doing the uneasy things. When you do the uneasy things, you break barriers and you grow to the next levels. And that's a core advice for all students aspiring for NEET. You have to devote a very dedicated time for your physics and chemistry as well. So if you're devoting half the time for bio, you have to devote the rest of the half of the time or more for physics and chemistry also, because if you don't do that, that will break down your rank, because that extra 2 hours that you spend on bio every day, if you were to spend that on physics and chemistry, the return on investment on your time is going to be much higher. By doing 2 hours of bio extra every single day, you could get maybe 5 extra questions correct. But if you do 2 extra hours of physics and chemistry every day, you could get 25 extra questions correct. And that is a massive uptick in the result that you're going to get. So do not ignore physics and chemistry, for God's sake. Other students, any quick inputs on this point about ignoring some about ignoring some subject or not?
Yeah, actually, you should be studying all three subjects equally, whether you like it or not, because God forbid your subject is the easiest in the exam, it doesn't become the deciding factor anymore, because everyone is going to score in that subject eventually. For example, this year, physics was the easiest, and the year before, physics was the hardest. So everyone studied physics and KEAM, and physics ended up being really easy, so that chemistry and maths became the deciding factors. So if you study all three equally, then you have a better chance of clearing the exam.
Very, very good point. Thank you. Very important point. All right. Okay, guys. So I'm done with my set of questions. What I'm going to do now is I have a set of questions that have come in from the students as well. We'll take another 10 minutes or so, 10, 15 minutes to quickly ask questions which students have asked. So any one of you can raise your hands and answer. We'll start going through whatever questions students have asked, or if the participants here in this session, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to write down now on the chat window, and we will try to take up as many questions as we can in the next 10 minutes. I have a few questions that people sent to me on Google form. Very nice question. How do you deal with distractions? You know, this is the age of distractions: mobile, TV, social media, friends. How do you deal with distraction? Anyone can take that.
Distractions, these are something like, actually you can't avoid distractions. You can't. Like now in this world, you can't avoid distractions. However, how much ever you try, you can't avoid it. What you can do is minimize it to the maximum. Like if you before you used to spend like think 1 hour on the phone just chatting, like try and finish it off. Maybe first try it in half an hour, then reduce it, like slowly try and reduce how much time you spend on these electronic items, because as time goes on you will feel the pressure of stuff building up. Like you will get more work to do, you will know you have to solve more questions for practice, you have to start attempting more tests. So if you give, like now when your focus goes on these, automatically these distractions, you'll forget about them. It won't be a distraction anymore. Like they will just slip out of your mind when you start focusing on those things you have at hand. And yeah, like, if you completely avoid distraction, that also is not good. You do need distractions, otherwise you'll get fed up and you will just give up studying. So breaks are important, but focus on what you have at hand also.
Okay, great. Thank you. Siddharth. Tips on how to solve MCQs in an organized time. How to improve your speed and accuracy on MCQs?
Well, one major way would be to write tests, because tests have a very good division of hard, difficult, and easy questions, hard, medium, and easy questions. So timing yourself in that would be much better. And for practice, you can perhaps take 10 or 20 MCQs and just solve it in a given period of time. That would help.
Very useful. Very useful. Always time yourself when solving questions, and of course, write as many tests as you can. But even if you're not writing tests, if you're sitting at home and you're practicing a few questions, try to keep a timer and try to answer questions within a certain time, and that will improve your speed. Rohit Dharmraj on the chat is asking, how do you study for JEE or NEET? Do you read only the NCRT textbook, or do you have to prepare from other books as well? So which are the other books that you like?
You should not depend on NCRT. As far as JEE Advanced is concerned, you cannot be depending on NCRT alone. So basically, if I I used the advanced modules given by KP. They had most of the information. Then I used to have HC Verma, and for chemistry, I used to have Cengage and stuff like that. Those were the books that I was asked to buy by the KP teachers, and they were very helpful. They were the reference books. If you have any doubt, you go there. If you're not able to clear it with like your teachers, or if you still have like a persistent doubt in any particular portion, then you go to the reference book and clear those doubts.
Right. Great. Good point. Thank you. Anyone else wants to add to this? Any other books that you want to recommend, Arslan?
Yes, sir. So for NEET, like for JEE, NCRT is definitely not enough. But I think for NEET, it's the complete opposite, because you don't need to look much beyond NCRT. Like the paper that I gave, the NEET paper that I gave, it was 100% from NCRT. Like there was nothing outside, so you don't need to spend unnecessary time and energy on like extra guides for NEET.
Yeah, but then you can't just rely on NCRT alone, right? I mean, you can get
Yeah, I
conceptual
mean, for
clarity
like
from NCRT, but you have to solve. I'm sure you solved a lot of books and a lot of papers beyond that, not just the
yeah, like
NCRT books,
the
right?
the MCQs I solved using KP MCQ books, but like the theory is basically from NCRT only, nothing outside. You can obviously practice from elsewhere.
Sure, sure. That's important. Great. Uh, Joshua is saying, Joshua D'Souza, what strategies do you use while writing your entrance exams? Any tips on managing that pressure cooker situation?
Well, one important thing is to not spend too much time on any question. So in JEE mains, if a question takes more than 4 minutes or so, then you should know that you're on the wrong track and you should leave that question and move to the next one. Because there have been so many instances where students focus on just 1 or 2 questions they're not getting and waste time, and they're unable to attempt questions that they actually know and studied for. So you should also ensure that it's almost like a 70-70-40 kind of breakup for physics, math, and chemistry respectively. Since chemistry tends to be easier, you give it lesser time and you focus more on physics and math.
Great. Any other tips?
You should know in which order you should attempt the test. Like you should premeditate that. You should know that basically that's why you write the test, so that you know your preferred order. For example, I had an order of chemistry, maths, and then physics. My opinion is that your easiest subject should come first, your hardest in the middle, and the one that you're okay with in the last, so that you do not have like this last 30 minutes are the most difficult period of your paper, because there are questions you haven't done and you keep pondering about it. And to do the harder subject in the last 30 minutes is like it's a huge problem, because like
Right.
you're already because like a lot of thought, like wrong thoughts come in your mind if you're doing the last, if you're doing your harder subject last. Even if you're doing the easier subject in the last, you've not done, because you attempted your hardest before, you're going to be like, okay, my paper is not going too well, and then you start making silly mistakes.
Mm.
And this last 30 minutes are really like it's what decides your rank. If you do not have composure in the last 30 minutes, then it's difficult.
Right. Absolutely. Good points. Mohammed is asking a question which most of you will not have an answer to. I will ask the question, but you can choose not to answer because you would not have experience of this. There is some things that you guys still don't have an experience of. And that question is, what to do if major part of my portions is still left? I don't think any one of you had that situation. So
You have to study. I can't say anything else. You have to do it. Basically, like you can't say that I have a lot of portions left. You should be studying. And if you have a lot of portions left, you cannot say that. At least I don't know which grade he is in. If he is in 12th, then it's a problem. 11th, it's okay. It's okay to have a lot of backlogs in 11th.
no, but you still have to be putting in a lot of effort in 11th
Yeah,
also, right? It's
obviously,
not okay
obviously.
to just keep collecting backlogs, right?
Yeah, but no, I'm just trying to like understand the severity of the question.
All right. Jeevna Suresh Babu is saying, very important, very pertinent question. Most students tend to miss coaching classes during exam times, and they tend to make up for it by watching recordings. This happens many a times when we are asking students, why are you missing live classes? And they say, yeah, I will watch the recordings. But we all know that never happens. That rarely happens when we go back and watch recordings, right? So what is your advice to deal with such a situation? Anyone?
So honestly, I think that I don't think you should worry so much about your school exams. School exams keep coming. They keep having school exams so that you can keep doing better. You don't have to worry about not preparing for your school exams, because while you already almost always KP is always ahead of your school portion. So your school portion would have been covered a few weeks back or few months back already in KP. So and now because they've changed the syllabus, you have more MCQs even in your school exam. The pattern has kind of changed. So it's much easier for you to focus on your entrance exams and Don't give your school exams as any kind of excuse to miss your class. Even if not just me, even my batchmates used to have exams right the next day, still you attend KP classes because you know you're studying so much more. Missing a class, had experience of both. We had physical classes in 11th and we had online classes in 12th. If you miss a physical class, you basically miss everything. You almost can't catch it up. So never miss class as much as possible. If you miss an online class, you miss the opportunity of asking doubts to your teachers live on the class. Sometimes when you're listening to recorded sessions, it's not as stimulating as it is when you're live in the class. Because when you're live in the class, you actually make an effort to think and answer the questions that your teacher is asking because you have a limited time frame before the teacher discusses the question or the doubt. So you're going to think much more, you're going to use your head much more if you're on a live class versus a recorded session.
Very important point. So keep that in mind. Do not miss classes. Do not miss live classes or physical classes, come what may. All right. Shweta Gandhi has a question. If you are not sure of a question, do you leave it or do you still attempt it in the entrance exam? Anyone?
It depends on how sure you are in the question. Maybe if you have doubt between two options and okay, it is not always advisable, but if it's between two options, you may try to guess. If you're sure that you have done well in the other questions, you can do that. Otherwise, if you're not sure in the question, like not sure at all, or you have doubt between three or four, all the options, maybe it's better to just leave it. It's better to get 0 marks rather than -1.
Yes, good point. You have to use the strategies that we teach you at KP about. Shri, can you scroll up? I want to ask this question, very important question from Hayden. So Hayden says, chemistry is this is my last question for the evening from students because we don't have much time left. We've already surpassed the time limit. So Hayden asks, chemistry is the most scoring subject, but the one that most people usually have the least interest in with all the memorizing required. How did you motivate yourself to studying it, especially when you come to the memorizing part, particularly inorganic?
I think yeah, I'm like probably an exception. I used to like chemistry, but what you should be like you said, it's the most scoring subject. So if that's a motivation, it should be a motivation because like if you can score in them, because like if you study inorganic, basically you're gonna get that answer right most probably. Like there's very less margin of error in chemistry as far as memorizing goes by. So then I think your motivation should be that because it's the easiest, you should do it.
Okay, good point. But others who found chemistry difficult, and how did you manage that challenge?
Yeah, another thing to add on, just 1 minute, yeah. Another thing to add on is sometimes just simply reading NCRT for the reactions, you lose interest, you get bored. So it's better that you read it once, read through your inorganic chapters once, and then go and solve questions. Then you'll see how much you got in, how much you remembered, and how much you didn't. So the second time you do it, the reactions you got in the first time, almost you will remember. The second time you do it, go back and give special attention to those questions that you made a mistake in. This is the best way to keep yourself interested because even I used to get bored reading the same reactions again and again before every JEE main. You have to revise the same thing. But one thing is as a motivation, it's a very easy thing to score because the question is straight out from the textbook. They won't complicate it as much. Second thing, don't bore yourself. Keep on reading the textbook. Go and solve questions immediately once you finish reading your textbook. This even works for biology. If you're someone who gets bored reading the same theory again and again, just read it once. Go and solve questions because when you're reading, it's just plain input. But when you're solving questions, you're inputting, you're processing, and then you're having an output. So that's a much better way of studying than just mugging.
Very useful. Very useful. Thank you.
So for me, chemistry was my least favorite subject. And basically for inorganic, as he asked, the main thing about inorganic is don't think about it as memorizing. Just like, and inorganic, if you want to learn, just keep writing it again and again. Don't write, keep writing it again and again. So, and when you keep writing it, it will get committed to memory. You won't even think of it like memorizing. It'll get committed to memory. It will come automatically. And try making a lot of mnemonics, that
Yeah.
like short forms, like those help a lot, especially in inorganic. Try making it wherever possible and write those down and keep writing it down again and again. It will get committed to memory eventually.
Siddharth, do you have notes to share on all the mnemonics you made for the benefit of everyone at KP?
Uh,
Let us
Sir, I
know.
have notes on inorganic.
Brilliant. If you guys have any notes, only the students who are attending this session will get those notes. And they're not allowed to share it with anyone else. We'll make some copyrights. So people who invested their time and effort into this session, and we're going to make those notes available to them, right? Very useful. Thank you, guys. If you have any such notes and all, please share. I have plenty more questions here. Several other students have written, but we just can't take due to the time pressure. So sorry, guys, but I will ask one last question from everyone. I mean, is there anything that has not been discussed today which was integral to your preparation, which is a very important study tip, preparation tip that you want to share, which has not been discussed, which you've not been able to express? Any final closing words? Everything's been covered? Okay, so you don't have any special concluding tips for anyone? Brilliant. So work hard, do your best, make notes, attend classes, attend tests, listen to your KP teachers, and do not worry much about board exams. Prepare for entrances. Entrances are going to eventually decide your college admissions. Avoid distractions. All of these things are super, super important, which okay, Devashri has been asking a few times. I will just quickly ask this last question. Can you please give 2 minutes on note making tips? How do you make notes? Since we spoke about you guys sharing your notes, etc. Anyone wants to share tips on how to make notes? Devashri is a very sincere, very good student, so let's give her that answer.
So, like how I did it was I tried to make my notes appealing so that I have some interest to look at it again. For example, I used to use blue, black, and red, and sometimes even orange colors, maybe to highlight something. Like I would put a box around important formulae or underline with underline some special points. Like I try to make it colorful, basically, especially in chemistry. That's really helpful, making it colorful so that you have some motivation to go through it. Maybe for maths, it's fine because most of maths is just problem solving. But for chemistry, it's a good thing that you can do, and even in physics, you could use that method.
Great, good to know. Anyone else with tips on note making?
Well, I would say that when you make notes, don't just copy the entire thing word to word from the source, because I know people who do that. Just write down those points which are more likely to forget and those points which have come in exams but you are unable to solve them.
Very good, very important. Pertinent. Okay. All right. So closing, can you all guys, those of you whose admissions are decided, so Anuradha and Arslan are yet to decide their admissions, but the remaining 4, can you please tell us where all you are joining, what admissions you've taken up? There needs to be a drum roll here.
so I
Yes.
got admission in IIT Bombay Electrical Engineering.
Woohoo!
I have taken admission in IIT Kharagpur Computer Science and Engineering.
Yay!
I've joined IIT Delhi for mechanical engineering.
Awesome.
And even I'll be studying in IIT Bombay Electrical.
Brilliant, brilliant. Wow. So we are sending people to IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Kharagpur, and in some really fancy courses. And Arslan and Anuradha are soon going to get their results as well from NEET counselings, and they're going to know which medical colleges they're going to be joining, and I'm sure they're going to be joining one of the top ones. So it's been such a delight mentoring you guys and the rest of your batchmates over the last few years, guys. You've made us really, really proud. your presence today, the things that you shared, really make all this effort that we make, it makes it worthwhile, because, teaching at times can be a one-way activity, and at times it can get stressful and can get a little bit heartbreaking. And when you guys produce these kind of results and you express the efforts that your teachers make for you and you acknowledge those efforts, it really, really makes us feel really happy and gives us a new found sense of purpose and joy to keep doing these things as the years come by. So thank you so much to you all for being here today. We are super, super, super proud of you all. And we wish you guys all the very best in all your future endeavors. God bless you all. Thank you. Keep in
Thank
touch,
you,
all
sir.
of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.